that I'm talking about on the record separated us. And
Your manager.
Yeah, and I understand that certain people like Dr. Dre, if I get this correct, are finally waking up and smelling the coffee, and now they're looking for their money, something that I should have told them to do, something I told them to do back in 1989.
No graffiti, the walls say Free Street.
I want to know how you felt about after the riots went down. Did you feel like just saying, I told you so, I told you so?
Nah, because, the people who listen to my record and buy Ice Cube's records know what time it is, you know what I'm saying?
Like that, but he was from over there and he knew everybody, so I used to always be telling him, man, I got this dude named Cam, man. He like my cousin, he fire, man. You gotta hear him, man. And he was like, I will solo, I will. So I kept being persistent with him, sitting on his front porch, man. I used to be having my
These fools must not want no money.
Who banging on the bell?
West Side,
As we last left off in the Cypress Hill versus Ice Cube episode, I mentioned that this was an episode where a couple rappers got into the beef, and in this part of the segment, I want to talk about those kind of rappers. Those rappers include Solo and Ice Cube's cousin Cam. Whew. Cam was pretty much known for being one of the most Nation of Islam influenced MCs in history, and believe it or not, he was the cat that actually put Ice Cube on the Nation of Islam during the time he was going through his beef with NWA. And pretty much Cube pretty much signed him a deal, and they all had a falling out. And when it comes to Solo, well, I'm just gonna put it to you this way. Pretty much Solo is
Hardwired to think that way? I can't believe I'm getting smart talked by a fucking dog.
That's right. Sean Fonteno, then known as Solo, voiced Franklin from GTA 5. Back in the day, he was tight with Cypress Hill, and pretty much both Cam and Solo came up to Cypress Hill just telling how dirty Cube was. Now the big question is this: what could Ice Cube have done to his own cousin that they pretty much beefed on wax? And what is it that Solo did that ended up being one of the biggest stories, the biggest legend in hip-hop history? Tune in to find out. First of all, I want to give like a little background information about how Cam and Ice Cube, pretty much musically became close. So I'm going to start this segment of the story probably like around 1991. And this is around the time when Ice Cube was just enjoying the success of course, the America's Most Wanted. And he was still, tight about the whole NWA situation. And so Cam pretty much was influenced by, of course, the Nation of Islam. He was a member of the Nation of Islam, and he pretty much persuaded Ice Cube to join the Nation of Islam.
And bringing them together, it made it, like a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Okay.
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 So, Yeah.
So you kind of brought him around.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All that time.
He brought me around the music thing. He put me on the music thing, and I put him on the brotherhood thing.
Okay. Did he officially join the Nation of Islam?
It's not. I would say yeah and no. You know, because all of us. If you know the definition, Islam is just an Arabic word that means submission.
Influenced by political hip-hop groups such as the Poor Righteous Teachers and Public Enemy, Cam's Nation of Islam influenced rhymes caught the attention of not only Q, but cats in his camp too. JD of the Lynchburg described it as this, and I quote, "I never heard anybody rap like that. I stopped eating red meat and pork because of Cam," unquote. And around this time too, Ice Cube was planning on making some big things. And spiritually, he wanted some new guidance, So him and Cam became really close around this time. And mind you, Q pretty much grew up like in a Baptist church, but at the end of the day, he ended up, being influenced by the Nation's teachings and whatnot, especially when it came to how blacks should take back their power and dignity from white suppressors. And another thing about, Q's, Nation of Islam influences was that he didn't really get into Farrakhan's teaching until his Public Enemy affiliate by the name of Drew gave it to him and whatnot. Now, fast forward to 1991. This was a very, very, very big year. Ice Cube had just turned 22. And around this time too, Cam pretty much kept Ice Cube's hair and described it as, I quote, "a symbolic baptism of sorts." And this pretty much was like a newly defined Ice Cube, because this is like the hairstyle he's pretty much known for throughout the most of his career. Gone was the Jerry curl, the curls, the chemicals in his hair, and in it was just like this low cut. This low-cut Ice Cube, like, pretty much redefined and whatnot. And Cam pretty much spoke about this incident, during...
He had the whole NOI thing going.
Yeah.
He shaved his head. Shaved the
I
Jerry curl.
I did that. They left that out in the movie.
Yeah?
Yeah, I cut his curl off.
You cut Ice Cube's Jerry curl off?
Yeah.
Personally?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we was cool like that, so I mean, that ain't nothing.
It's the same routine every 7-day period. The opposite sex got us all doing weird shit. It's all about getting credit for being that hell of a nigga. And so you slang for the Pooh-Tang. Figure it out and see it's just for the skeezy. Ain't no other reason. And the season don't go by that niggas don't show off.
Now, Ice Cube was so thankful that Cam pretty much changed his life that he got him a deal in his Street Knowledge label. But it wasn't until October 29, 1991, when Ice Cube released in my opinion, his magnum opus, Death Certificate, where there was this one posse cut on the album called Colorblind. And Colorblind also featured Deadly Threat, The Mad Circle, King T, and of course JD, which in my opinion, that's like one of my all-time favorite tracks off the album.
Fresh out the county on bail, and no sooner do I get out, seems like I'm right back in jail for some gang-related activity.
That he really caught the attention of like a lot of listeners and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? And mind you, like Death Certificate, that was like a pretty controversial album at that time too. Because of the fact that, he was very influential, his politically charged lyrics around that time, the Nation of Islam lyrics. I mean, it was like a very controversial album at that time. Like, commercially, it was very successful. It peaked at #1 on the R&B hip-hop album, #2 on the Billboard 200, but just even by the track No Vaseline, even though that was a diss track, it definitely caught the attention of the JDL. and even like songs like fucking Black Korea and I Wanna Kill Sam. But one thing I very don't much like, and I know I'm going off topic, I hate the fact that they remastered the album and they replaced, you know, the iconic album cover with the Uncle Sam album cover, which I never really fuck with that new album cover. I just stick to the OG. But you know, moving on. So around this time too, you know, Ice Cube, you know, he got him a deal. Cam, you know, he got Cam a deal. And, you know, they started to work on the album. You know, they started to work on the album, which Cam called it, you know, the Never Again album. Which that album came out in 1993, you know, on the Street Knowledge, on the East West Records and stuff like that. Singles was known for, I want to say that the singles were Peace Treaty and Still Got Love for 'Em. Yeah, man, this album I heard like a month ago. This was definitely a very dope album. Very politically charged, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're definitely a fan of like Ice Cube's Death Certificate or even like The Predator, you will definitely love this album. Commercially, this album peaked at number 110 on the Billboard 200 and number 18 on the R&B hip hop albums chart. Now, around this time, like in the mid 90s, you know, Ice Cube, you know, he was definitely pretty much, you know, working on a lot of stuff, you know, working on a lot of things around this time. And one of the most notable things that he was working on was, of course, the movie Friday. Now, Friday definitely played a very crucial part in both parts of this episode. And so, Ice Cube wrote the original Friday, you know, with DJ Pooh. Now, if you guys know about your West Coast hip hop, y'all should definitely know the name DJ Pooh. He's an iconic name in West Coast hip hop, in my opinion. He got his start as a member of the LA Posse, which consists of members Muffler, Big Dad, and Bobcat. And they pretty much got their start working with Def Jam Records, most notably on LL Cool J's Bigger and Deffer album, which came out in '87. Because if you really listen to that album pretty much has a few West Coast influences on it, you know what I'm saying? And so after a few money issues with Russell, they left and they went and signed with Atlantic Records. And pretty much DJ Pooh, he pretty much made a name for himself, you know, working with production. You know, he produced for cats like King T for the songs from his Actor 4 album and also for At Your Own Risk. You know, he did some tracks for Del the Funky Homo Sapien, I Wish My Brother George Was Here. He definitely did some songs for Yo-Yo's Black Pearl album, which he pretty much made some of his most underrated beats on that album, in my personal opinion. And of course, he worked closely with Ice Cube. And so, you know, with Ice Cube, Pooh pretty much produced like certain things for Ice Cube. Like for one, he did the drive-by shooting sequence like in Boys in the Hood. And he also appeared on a couple of videos with Ice Cube too, where he appeared on the Who's the Mac video, where he's playing like all of the Mac characters. That's like one of my favorite songs from America's Most Wanted. And he also appeared on the True to the Game video too, another one of my favorite songs from Death Certificate. And so him and Cube, they definitely had a close working relationship, and they started working on Friday. And y'all should also know that, you know, he played Red on Friday, you know. Yeah, Friday, that's one of my favorite movies of the series and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? And so, with the first Friday, it was definitely a lot more different than like the next Friday and Friday after next. Because the characters were like more three-dimensional. In my opinion, it was more three-dimensional. Whereas with the other Fridays, like you can tell, like the characters were more like flanderized or caricatures, in my opinion. And all of that had more to do with, DJ Pooh, because they tried to make Friday like the more comedic hood movies, because hood movies around like the early 90s, most notably like Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, South Central, Juice, they definitely were very violent, very gory and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? Whereas Friday, they want to focus more on like the positivity of the hood, using influence from Def Comedy Jam and shows like, Living Color and Martin, and they want to add that to make Friday. And so Friday was eventually released on April 26th, 1995. Huge box office success, you know what I'm saying? It made box office sales 28.2 million with a budget of 3.5 million. And mind you, they did Friday in like 2 weeks and whatnot, just to let you guys know. So yeah, man, definitely a classic movie right there. Classic movie. I don't care what no one said. I never get tired of watching Friday to this day. Like, now for the other Fridays,
him and his
we'll talk
manager,
about that one day.
Pat Jobnay, were taking credit, and he made it seem like Pooh was only used for playing Red, the character, and DJ Pooh had problems with Ice Cube about that too. So
what kind of shit is that?
So while Ice Cube was having problems with DJ Pooh, he was also beginning to have problems with Cam too at that time, because since the Never Again album didn't too good, Ice Cube and Cam didn't really see eye to eye when it came to business and whatnot, and Cam accused Ice Cube of not only, scamming him out of his money, but pretty much stealing ideas and materials and making it seem like he was the one who made them, which, hint hint, no different from what Cypress Hill was accusing him of. And the reason why I mention this is because with the group West Side Connection, Ice Cube was throwing up the W and stuff like that, and Cam and Solo, they took a mad offense to that, because Solo pretty much said that him and Cam were in a group called What's Up, and they felt like Ice Cube was just making it seem like he was the originator of the whole West Side Connection and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? And so fast forward to the same year, 95, Cam dropped his album Made in America. That album pretty much was released, in East West Records, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, man, that album was pretty underrated. I kind of prefer that over the Never Again album. Yeah, man, it was released on East West Records under Elektra Records. It came out with a couple of singles, and one of the known singles was Pull Your Whole Card, which Pull Your Whole Card was like a diss track against Ice Cube and stuff like that. Very smooth, mellow beat, and you know what I'm saying, because he's pretty much just like saying like what happened and whatnot with it's like what happened, he just switched up real fast and things of that nature. And also there was a video to that song too and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? So I love the line when he says, if you don't know me, homie, then don't call Cam. Craig spitting caps on your trap, get you slapped like a hooker, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, fucking dope line and shit.
In the hood asking me, what's up with that nigga? If you only knew, you probably do something drastic. That's why I don't be kicking it, cause niggas is plastic. It was all about money while I slept, she spent. Now honey need to check what she represent. I still got love for them, but they need to be told.
Now, while I was making this video, I never knew that Cube responded to Cam on, off the Pull Your Whole Card, but he responded in like a little radio freestyle or mixtape freestyle or whatever, and he rapped over the beat, the same sample Mariah used on the Fantasy, the Tom Tom Club sample. You know, I pretty much thought it was pretty dope. You know, Cube sounded very vicious on the mic and whatnot.
Me on their best day. Come one, come all. Stand tall. I have a ball fucking all.
It should also be noted that, you know, Cam has since dropped from Street Knowledge, which became, you know, the Lynch Mob Records. And so a lot of Ice Cube's artists on that label was having issues with him, you know, over money and business. And, you know, fast forward, because around this time, Ice Cube was already dealing with the Cypress Hill beef. And, you know, at that time, he was having his issues with Common, which I'm going to talk about a video one day. One day I'm going to talk about their incident and stuff like that. But, yeah, so fast forward to 1997. I want to say early 1997 to be exact. Ice Cube and Solo pretty much got into it in traffic, and this pretty much was, like, in my opinion, what I want to call like the peak of everything, because Ice Cube and Solo were arguing in the streets of running out business, and allegedly Ice Cube threw up the W sign, and they had a fight. And according to Solo, he said that he hit Ice Cube, and Ice Cube pretended like he was knocked out, but when, you know, Solo turned around, Ice Cube jumped at him, and, you know, they started attacking one another until Solo grabbed Ice Cube, you know, W chain. And what was interesting was the fact that Solo presented the chain to Be Real, and Be Real was like bragging that he got the chain in concerts, and, you know, he was just trying to like bait Ice Cube to come get the chain. You know what I'm saying? I've heard the story plenty of times, you know, and this story was also, you know, recounted by Solo, you know, when he was doing the Beef 2. He did a recent interview years ago when he was talking about it. You know what I'm saying? Even though there's been like some rumors that say that he actually robbed his Rolex and shit like that, but a lot of people actually tend to the story with the chain. So
LA artists Cam and Solo were also in the middle of a business feud with Ice Cube. Meeting Solo at a Los Angeles traffic light, Ice Cube started a fight.
Knocked him down, knocked him out, woke him back up, whooped on his ass. Somehow his chain fell in my hand. I don't know how it got in my hand, but it fell in my hand.
Solo knocked out Cube and took his West Side Connection chain.
Solo, sporting Ice Cube's chain, showed up at a Cypress Hill show at the House of Blues in LA.
Be Real put it on and hold it all up into the crowd. Crowd go crazy. They go bananas off of it.
And we're like, well, shit, let's take pictures with it.
Nigga, you didn't take the chain. Nigga, why you wearing it? What you proving, nigga? How many brownie points you getting for that?
So, by 1997, hip-hop beefs were getting out of control. People were just still recovering from the Tupac and Biggie beef. And so, with that being said, 1997 was like the year for healing. And so, Ice Cube and Be Real, they squashed, you know, their beef, because at that time, people were losing their lives, and there was like about to be like a whole black people versus Mexico, because now the Mexican mafia was about to get involved. And so they talked about it, you know, and whatnot, and they squashed it. According to Ice Cube, he pretty much said, and I quote, "We passed up a lot of things, talked about a lot of things. It was like old times, you know," unquote. And so they both worked on Shaquille O'Neal's Steel, the Steel song, which also featured Peter Guns and KRS-One, of course. And so, you know, they talked about it, they did a video shoot, and yeah, they patched up the whole beef.
Hit her up with some Reeboks and tacos, West Side rolling. Even if the car's stolen, even if my eyes shut and jaw swollen, that's how it's going down. You only smile when I generation, hear my voice playing at the station. Immortal, so for the recorder, consider the picture, deliver the scripture, still picture. If the shoe fits, you're wearing.
You know, this, that, and the other, right. And you know, and hopefully this right here just be that stepping stone to get everything squashed between the black and the brown.
Definitely. I mean, you know, both of us, you know, we have a lot of influence on our communities and everything with our music and the stuff we got to say. So, you know, we was beefing each other for so long, and it was confusing people. And we need to be down together rather than confusing each other.
As for Ice Cube, Cam, and Solo, you know, they tried to catch the beef a couple of times, you know, both orchestrated by Louis Farrakhan. It wasn't really until the whole, you know, Solo incident that, you know, they really did have a sit down with Louis Farrakhan, and they patched up their beef, you know, they mended their fences and whatnot at the Hip Hop Summit in Chicago. But also, while they were patching up the beef, Cam also revealed that he was working on the song, the Whoop Whoop song with DJ Pooh, which Pooh, he pretty much released that track off the Bad News Travels Fast album, his album Bad News Travels Fast. But according to Cam in his Vlad interview, Farrakhan requested him, you know, to, you know, redo the version and whatnot too. So, because Cam thought he would let Ice Cube know and everybody, that way it won't look like he is going back on his word once the song was released, which, respect to him, pretty much.
The fury, sure we used to be cool and all that junk. Little fat pot belly, big booty, duck foot park. We jump in your trunk like Pam. On Martin, don't be starting up nothing with Cam, cause I'll roll you up. Boy, you just ain't know, and keep your eyes on the road and watch where you going. You taking all my shots.
And so also, Ice Cube and Solo, you know, they squashed their beef, and you know, they're still cool to this day. You know, Solo pretty much said that, you know, him and Cube, you know, talked about like man, and he said, and I quote, "We both hustlers, homie. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying?" Unquote. Now, years later, y'all should know the talk show host Bill Maher. He pretty much, you know, in 2011, he pretty much got controversy over saying the N-word. And Ice Cube, of course, took offense to that, and, you know, he appeared on his show. And Kim had a problem with that because of the fact that he pretty much called Ice Cube a hypocrite for using the N-word in his lyrics, but man, when white people say it and whatnot, even though he defended his way, he defended his way of using the N-word for positivity and shit like that. So
I hate, you know, injustice. I hate hypocrites. I hate, you know, that type of stuff. I hate cowards. You know what I'm saying? It's a long line of stuff I hate.
So I want to thank y'all so much for watching this episode of Beef. I originally did a version where I filmed myself, but, you know, my laptop messed up on me and whatnot, so excuse me if you're just hearing my voice. But yeah, thank y'all for being with me during these 2 parts. Hope you guys learned everything from this beef. Make sure y'all subscribe to me, like, share, you know, hit me up on Insta at MCRegMusic, hit me up on Twitter at RealReg1, and I will see y'all later. Peace.
You gonna get your money, all right?
Coward.
I heard your new album.
What was that for?
You shouldn't have just looked.